everyone. Good to see you today. Thanks for joining. All right, so for this lesson, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, we're going to be looking at to and for. So I know a lot of people have some trouble with to and for. So today I think it's going to be a good lesson for us to have a look at each one and see how we can use each one correctly and when to use each one, because like I mentioned, a lot of people have some trouble with this. So before we get started, let's have a look at some notes I've made and some tips that I want you guys to follow. So the first one is make sure to take notes, okay? Super important to take notes in the lesson so that everything that I am teaching you, all the information, you're actually retaining it and you have the chance to look back at it. I want you to ask questions in the live chat. If there's something I'm explaining and you're not sure about, go ahead and ask me in the live chat. I will be checking it regularly. I also want you to form your example sentences with the new grammar rules you're going to learn. So whenever you're going to learn a new way to use to, I want you to go ahead and put in an example in the live chat. This is a great way for you guys to actually apply what you're learning to practice, and it's a great opportunity for me to go in there and correct it for you live as well. And if you're watching this recording after the live lesson, you can also put in your example sentences in the comment section and I will go in and check it for you later on. All right. Also, make sure you have subscribed to my YouTube channel to get notified every Tuesday when we go live. And if you would like to know more about my lessons and my upcoming courses that I am working on, contact me via the link in my profile, okay? You can also follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and even on YouTube if you haven't subscribed already. Like I mentioned earlier, I provide a lot of good tips on English, grammar rules, English vocabulary, with a focus on business English specifically as well. All right, so let's get started. Let's look at to. So when should we use the preposition to? Now to start off with, some of the ways we can use to is when we're talking about destination, when we're talking about time, so the time between 2 points, preference, the limit or the end point of something, when we want to give something to someone, and a motive or a reason. When we have a motive or a reason to do something, we can use to. Now we're going to look at each one of these points more specifically. So, when there is some kind of movement showing where someone or something is going, so a destination, we use to. Some example sentences here. Now guys, while I'm reading these example sentences, go ahead and try and form your own example sentence and pop it in the live chat. So, first example, do you usually take the bus to work? Ryan walked to the bank. Mr. Linden is driving to the airport. Can you quickly run to the shops? They invited us to their house. Okay, so can you see here at the end of each sentence there is a destination that we are talking about. To work, to the bank, to the airport, to the shops, to their house. These are destinations that we are going to, okay? Pop some example sentences in the live chat and I will go in there and correct them for you. All right, next one. It doesn't only relate to physical movement, it could also relate to other types of movement. Now notice here we've got these verbs in capital letters, and the reason I've done this is to emphasize to you that it's not just about physical movements or physical destinations or places. It can also relate to other types of movements. For example, to give something to someone, okay? To sell something to someone. To send something to someone, to mail something to someone. So we can use to when there's some kind of transfer happening or something is being moved from one place to another. a destination. Something is being moved to somewhere or to something. Okay? So I gave the keys to her. She sold that jacket to him. Notice how we're using to here. So with these verbs, give, sell, send, and mail, we also I would say 95% of the time use to. Second one, when talking about distance. So if we're talking about distance, you should also use to, since distance is the length or the time from one place to another to a destination. So, examples here. It's only 6 kilometers from my house to the office. Okay, so we're talking about distance to the office. They drive from work to the restaurant is 10 minutes. Okay, so the drive from work to the restaurant is 10 minutes. Again, talking about distance. Here we've got minutes, here we've got kilometers. Both are referring to the distance from one place to another. All right. Let's go into a bit more detail about this. When talking about one point in time to another point in time, we also use to. Okay, so we use to when talking about the amount of time between 2 points. A period from this time to that time. Example, the supermarket is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. So from this point in time to this point in time. I study English from Monday to Thursday. So from this day, from this point in time to this day, to this point in time. We also use it when telling the time. All right, it's very common for us in English, rather than saying 6:45, we would say it's 6:45. Instead of saying it's 7:55, we would say it's 5 minutes to 8. So any time before the actual 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, the full hour, we often use to, 1:45, 1:50, 5:50. Okay, so it's common for us to use it like this as well. So just some background information as well, some extra tips. When talking about preference, guys, this is a great chance for you to form some sentences. All right, so now if there are two things and you'd like one of those things a little more than the other thing, you prefer it, right? So you have a preference for it. You prefer one thing to the other thing. Example sentences. I prefer chocolate ice cream to vanilla ice cream. He prefers riding his bike to walking. They like eating Japanese to Italian. I'm going to go in and correct your chats here. I am going to school. Perfect. Talking about a destination. The Australians are going to the moon. Great job. I gave my credit card to my nephew. Fantastic, Angel. Really, really great sentences. The window launch is open Monday to Wednesday. Yeah. And here I would go a little bit further and I would say is open from Monday to Wednesday. Okay. Now, just a little note to make, Angel, make sure that we start our sentences with capital letters and make sure we put full stops at the end of our sentences. It looks a little bit better. All right. But other than that, fantastic. Okay, next one. When talking about the point where something finishes or where something ends, here we're referring to a limit that you cannot exceed, that you cannot go past. Examples. During the flood, the water came up to my knees during the high season. Here we're talking about a limit, okay, where it came to, the point where it finished, it came up to my knees. I have had it up to here with your excuses. This is a great expression in English. We often use it with this hand gesture. So if you look at the video of me, we would say it like this. I have had it up to here. I have had it up to here. I have had it up to here. It's like you're fed up with someone. You've had enough of someone or of someone's complaints or problems or behaviors. Okay? So we would use it with this hand gesture. I've had it up to here. Next example, the store sells clothes for children up to the age of 10 years old. So again, they stop selling after the age of 10 years old. This is the limit that they've got. Okay. Give us some example sentences when you can, guys. Giving something to the receiver of the action. Okay, so giving something to the receiver of the action. So I'm just going to make it easier for you guys to see here. All right, awesome. So again, we're going to use some verbs that talk about giving something to the receiver. So to lend, to write an email, to send something. So I lent the book to my friend. They wrote an email to their boss. She sent a message to her parents. So all these sentences talk about someone giving something to someone else. Okay, so a person giving something to the receiver. Okay. When talking about a motive or a reason, we use to, but we need to follow it with a verb. So this is something you guys need to pay attention to, because we use to and for both for motive or reason. Whenever we're talking about a motive for doing something, a reason behind wanting to do a specific thing, we're going to use to and for. But the difference is we use to before a verb and we use for before a noun. We will get into the for before a noun later in the lesson, but for now, focus on these examples here. I came here to see you. So what was the motive? Why did you come? To see you. Because see is a verb, we're going to use to before it. She went to the library to rent a book. Again, why? What was the reason? To rent a book. Rent is a verb. We visited our grandma to check up on her. Why did you go to your grandma's house? What was the motive? It was to check up on her. Check up is the verb in this case. It's a good phrasal verb as well, to check up on someone. There you go, bonus phrasal verb for this lesson. Create some sentences, guys. If you've got some time to create some sentences, go ahead and create some sentences for me, especially for this example here, because I feel like this is where most people get confused on whether to use to or for. All right, moving on to when we should use the preposition for. Let's have a look at some of the ways we can use for. We can use for to talk about the benefits or sometimes the effects of something, the duration or a period of time. Again, we've got time here but used differently. Schedules and appointments. When we talk about helping someone, when talking about the function of something, how something is used or what it is used for. To agree about a topic or to agree with someone. And again, like I mentioned, for motive or reason. All right, first one. When talking about benefits, we use for. The positive or bad effects or results of something. Here are some examples. Ginger is great for your immune system. Okay, so we're talking about the benefit of it, the positive effect, the good result it has. Exercising every day is good for your health. Again, the benefit of exercising. Eating a lot of junk food is terrible for our bodies. So here we're using it to talk about the negative effect or the negative impact something can have. Okay? So whenever we're talking about the positive or the bad effects of something, we're going to use for. When talking about a period of time, we use for when we're doing something over a period of time. So when something has happened for a number of hours or days, weeks, months, years, etc., we use for. We do something for a duration, a period of time, not as specific as using to. Okay? So we use to talk about distance, right? We use to talk about destination. Or from one point in time to another point in time, like from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. But here we use it for a duration over a long period of time. And for answers, I've actually written it down here for you guys. So for answers the question, how long, okay? Notice how with these examples, we use the present perfect. For is often used when talking about time in this way. So let's read these here. They've been living in the city for 3 years already. Okay, so how long for? What was the duration? For 3 years. How long have you been studying medicine for? Okay, great way to use it when asking a question when you want to find out the duration of something or how long someone has been doing something. Notice here we've got for at the end of the question, okay? So you could say, how long have you been studying medicine? But it doesn't sound as good. Sometimes it can sound like it's missing something. So it's better to say, how long have you been studying medicine for? Okay. I've been waiting for 20 minutes already. Where are you? Again, talking about the duration, how long this person has been waiting. All right. And like I mentioned here, a lot of the time we use it with the present perfect when talking about duration. Great examples, Angel. Yep, perfect. So how long have you been living in Brazil for? English is absolutely helpful for your professional development. Perfect. I agree with you. Great examples. They have been waiting for 2 weeks. Really, really great example. Next one, when talking about a schedule, okay? Whenever we've got an appointment, we've scheduled something, we can use for here. So some example sentences. I made an appointment for May 3. The flight is booked for January 11. I have scheduled the lesson for next week. Okay? Talking about appointments, dates, schedules, meetings, we can use for. Okay. Next one, when you do something for someone. So we often use for when talking about doing things for other people, helping other people. We tend to use for as well. Okay, it's a really important one to remember. If you do something to help someone out or do something nice, then you are doing something for them. Some example sentences. I baked a cake for my sister. So I did something nice for her. I baked her a cake. Maybe it was her birthday. Maybe she was making me dinner and I wanted to give her something as a thank you. I need to collect the mail for my grandma. So maybe the grandma is a little bit old. She's feeling a little bit tired. So this person is going to do something nice for their grandma. They're going to help her. Hey, can you grab those boxes for me? So again, asking someone to help me. Great way to see it in a question. Okay? Can you think of any examples, guys, where we can use for when we are doing something for someone? These flowers are for you. Great one. Loving that one. I have scheduled my visit for next month. Great example. I've scheduled my visit for next month. Perfect. We use for when we're talking about a function or a use. Okay? So when we're talking about the use of something or the purpose of something, we're going to use for plus verb ing. So this is the formula that we would use it with, and I'm going to show you here. So what is it used for? We can use it in a question to talk about the function of something, the purpose of it. What is it used for? If you're going to use it in a sentence to answer, we use it for drinking. It's used for driving. So you can notice here we've got for, and then we've got verb ing. Verb ing. So notice how the verb ing form is always following for. Okay? So another good tip here. We use for to agree with someone about something. Okay? We can also use it to agree about a topic. Some examples. Are you for or against the development of nuclear weapons? So you would respond to that by saying, I am for or I am not for. Okay, there's two ways you could respond to it. And the next one, I am all for recycling and green energy. Okay, so I am 100% on board with this. I agree with this. I am all for. We are all for equal pay. So we all agree and support this topic. We all support equal pay. Great way to use for, okay? If you don't want to say I agree with you, you could say I am all for this. It's a different way of using it. And the last one, when talking about a motive or when talking about a reason. So like I mentioned earlier, we can use to or for. To is used with a verb. So the difference here is that for is used with a noun. Some examples for this. I want to go out for a drink tonight. She called her mum for advice. He is learning for work purposes. All right, so you'll notice here after for, we've got a noun. So why do you want to go out? For a drink. Why did she call her mum? What was the reason for calling her mum? For advice. Why is he learning? He's learning for work purposes. Again, here we've got a noun after it. So let's kind of go over motives or reasons and when to use to or for, because sometimes people still get confused with this. So use both to and for to talk about a reason or a motive. But in this case, they are not interchangeable, okay? We can't use them the same way. Each one is used differently. Use to when the motive or reason is a verb, and use for when the motive or reason is a noun. Example, why is he studying English? He's studying English to apply for a job. So here we've got apply, which is the verb, so we use to, and work is the noun, so we use for. Okay? Some other examples. I came to New York to work. Work is a verb here, so we're going to use to. I came to New York for a new job. A new job is a noun, so we're going to use for. Can you notice how the structure of the sentence is the same at the beginning, but then depending on what we end with, we're going to change the preposition? So another example, I came here for a visit. I came here to visit. Okay? Similar meanings, but we use a different preposition depending on what is following it, whether it's being followed by a noun or whether it's being followed by a verb. Use both to and for to indicate recipient. In both sentences below, to and for indicate who the recipient is. Yesterday, I bought a birthday card for my sister. Yesterday, I bought a birthday card to send to my sister. When a verb like send indicates a transfer or exchange or movement from point A to point B, we use the preposition to. So because here we're talking about sending something, so moving something from one place to another, we're going to use to. Right? So remember, here are the common examples shown again for using to. To give, to sell, to send, to mail something to someone. And here we're using for because we bought something for her, to help her, or as a kind gesture for her. What is the difference between these two sentences? So guys, I'd love for you to answer me in the live chat what you think the difference is between these two sentences. The first one, my assistant brought coffee to me. The second one, my boss brought coffee for me. What is the difference here between these two? So think about what we learnt. To is used for destinations, for movements. For is used for gestures, for helping others. So what is the difference between these two? Let's see. Does anyone notice, or are they the same for you? All right. Now that I've given you a few seconds to think about it, let's have a closer look. Both can be used correctly, but each sentence has a different meaning. So the first one with to, my assistant brought coffee to me. Here, you need to remember that to is used to talk about destination or direction, where there's movement involved. So in this example, coffee is coming to me. I'm the destination for the coffee. My assistant physically carried the coffee and delivered it to me. So here we're talking about movement from one place to another. My assistant carried the coffee and walked over to my desk and gave it to me. Whereas in the second one, my boss brought coffee for me. Remember that for is used to do something nice for someone, right? It's often used as a kind gesture or to help other people. So my boss brought it to me because he wanted to do something nice for me. Okay, so maybe I did a really great job at work today. I was having a stressful day and my boss wanted to do something nice as a thank you or as a reward or a kind gesture. So my boss brought the coffee for me. Okay, they maybe went to the store, or maybe they paid for it or asked someone to get it. Okay, but they got it for me. Both of these sentences are grammatically correct, but using for or to changes the meaning. Great work, Angel. Your assistant took the coffee from one place to another. Fantastic. You got that exactly. Let's see with the next example. So with these two examples, the meaning changes when it's to and the meaning changes when it's for. First one, I made a quick phone call to my mum. I made a quick phone call for my mum. Okay, so that's the second example. What is the difference between these two? Again, think about movement, think about destination from one place to another. Think about using for as a kind gesture or to help someone or to do something nice. All right, so let's look at how the meaning changes. For the first one, I made a quick phone call to my mum. To here helps us to understand the direction of the action, the destination of the phone call being made. So I called and my mum received my phone call. Okay, so I made a call to who? To my mum. So to a recipient. I made a quick phone call for my mum. With this one here, I'm doing my mum a favor. I'm doing something nice for her. I'm helping her. I'm making a call to someone else because my mum couldn't call them, or maybe she didn't want to for whatever reason it might be. So I did the call for her as a way to help her. So in the second example, the sentence only says your boss is just brought a cup. Yes, okay. So Angel, you're talking about that previous example. Yes, exactly. All right, so with this example here, you can see the difference again, right? This one is talking about the direction of something, the destination, where the phone call is going. It's going to your mum. Here we're talking about doing something nice or helping your mum. All right. So just to kind of finish off, prepositions can be a little bit difficult, especially when it comes to and for. Sometimes it can get a bit confusing. So I hope this lesson helped you to identify the differences and better understand when to use each one. But something else I want you to pay attention to is to learn prepositions in context or with the word or collocation they are commonly used with. There are many different situations where we can use to and for. But really, trying to memorize all of those situations is a pretty difficult way to learn them, okay? It's not easy learning them that way. This is why learning to use prepositions in context is really important and is the best way to use prepositions correctly. Learning common collocations is going to be really useful for you as well. So knowing which verbs use to and which verbs use for. It's best to learn prepositions with the verb or the noun that they've commonly been used with, okay? So always paying attention to sentence structures, looking at how different verbs use different prepositions, when we would use to and when we would use for, remembering that to is talking about movement, to is often used before a verb, for is used before a noun, for is used to talk about doing something nice, it's used to talk about functions of things, about benefits, so different ways we can use them. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments section. Make sure to like this video, and also feel free to share this video with any of your friends, family members, work colleagues that might benefit from this video and might find it useful. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you next week, same time, 3 p.m. Brasilia time. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Bye.